So let me explain. I was only in prison for 2 years, okay? And it wasn't even my fault.
That's great. That's great.
She had it. No.
I'll notate that. At 39, I'm like, I do understand. Oh, BMW? Okay, understand. M cars?
Yeah.
Get it. I understand. But inspiration, like the level of imagination has been, it's like the Matrix getting plugged into your brain, right? Like
Yeah.
everything's unlimited. But what scares me is not scare, but what discourages me is it almost takes the uniqueness away from everyone.
Yeah.
And that kind of I don't like. And you just basically gave it to an AI tool that wrote it for you that made me think you understand, but you don't, right? And then so now I have to essentially either continue business with you knowing that you don't understand what you're doing, or now I have to reset and now start the issue all over again somewhere else, right? So I think that's, if anything, that's kind of what I hate.
Welcome to the Ride in Style Podcast, your turbocharged pit stop for automotive restyling. Buckle up with Jesse and Josh.
Welcome to another episode of the Ride in Style Podcast. Our guest today is David Chen of Attica 4x4. Thank you for being here, David.
I really appreciate it, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
I love it when we have the 4x4 people on the podcast because the whole industry is enthusiasts, but these guys are above and beyond. The stuff they make is for everyday usage, and Attica is one of those brand names that, you know, a lot of people know, and if they don't know, they should know. But I'm excited to talk to you guys, David. First, but let's start from the beginning, Jesse. Go ahead. I just got so much I want to ask him, but go ahead. Ask him the good stuff. Let's learn about David first. I get too excited when I see Land Cruiser stuff.
Yeah, I know. So before we dive into what you're doing now and all that, take us back in history, a little bit of timeline here, your background. How did you get started in automotive and aftermarket? Give us the background on your career and how you got to where you are. So how'd you get started?
Sure. Man, rehearsing this a lot. It's a little different when it's live. To jam it in a reasonable amount of time, I started more as a hobby, I think, like a lot of enthusiasts. To be fair, my interest lies in a lot of different parts of this segment. So obviously, as a marketing director here at Attica, I'm very involved in the off-road community. On my personal life, I started as a young kid liking reasonably priced sports cars, right? I think the older we get, the more that the answer of reasonable becomes, it changes, right?
Wait a minute, are you talking about a Mitsubishi Eclipse, a Honda Civic, or are you more, what? I can't tell what generation I don't want to say that you're just a sport compact. You might be driving Ferrari for all I know.
No, sure. I guess to segment to that part of the conversation, growing up definitely was JDM cars. I think locally to Southern California, the 90s is what I grew up in early 2000s. And that was the scene for Southern California. The reasonable price point cars that was obtainable has changed over time. And also taste, right? Before, if you were to ask me what would be my reasonable car that I would like to get, would be the Skylines, the JDM icons, right? Now, if you ask me at 14, 15, I'm like, I don't understand Porsche. Don't. At 39, I'm like, I do understand. Oh, BMW? Okay, understand. M cars? Get it. I understand. Even the dark horse really excites me. It's unfortunate that the industry is a little slow in terms of their sales volume, right? But that car really excites me. I think as an enthusiast, I like all aspects, but the ironic thing to answer the question of my upbringing into the industry was I actually started in power sports, not diving into the details, but growing up, money was not affluent in my pocket. So riding sport bikes was the Band-Aid about getting the speed you want for a price point that was affordable to me at the time. So I've been riding for quite a bit.
You guys are you in East LA, or is that where you guys at in that area?
Yes. It would be a little bit further east than East LA. So in this particular area for LA County, we are now headquarters in a very industrial city. It's literally called the city of industry. It's a minute actual living population. It's purely businesses, like big warehouses like FedEx, Amazon. They're all here in this local area.
Okay.
But most of the employees, including myself, we all reside somewhere in East LA, whether it be close to downtown or a little bit further, kind of the suburbs. But yeah, the majority of us are all from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you grew up doing power sports. What was the opportunity that got you over into the off-road, the trucks and the SUVs and everything and the Jeeps?
Sure.
Was it Attica was that your first move over to that space?
So this is the ironic part, right? I got into motorcycles, enjoyed it. I went from not understanding anything and I don't know how to turn to, okay, now I want to do track days. And up until this point, I've only had regular passenger vehicles, right? So whether it be a 4-door, 2-door, whatnot, right? I've never had a truck. So at the time, when I got into motorcycle riding and I became a little bit more serious, I went to track days and I had to rent trucks like at Enterprise and Hertz and stuff. And I was like, well, I might as well just buy a truck. And in this particular segment of years, which was like 2016, 2017, I was single at the time, doing okay for myself. And I was like, you know what? Let's go check out some trucks. So I went to go buy a truck. And at the time, this is 2016, 2017, the Gen 2 Raptor just came out.
Ooh.
Never knew about anything about trucks, right? I went in thinking like, hey, I just need something with a bed. Don't really know. Ask me about JDM or even German cars like DTM cars. I know everything. Trucks, I'm just like, if it tows my bike, it's good enough, right? I got such a smoking offer for a Gen 2 Raptor, and obviously driving it, not knowing Fox or any of the well-named brands that give OEM level but aftermarket suspension to the OEM. I didn't know that difference, right? I didn't understand that. I didn't know what I was getting into. I was like, the payment is okay. It's very comfortable inside. Sure.
Your first truck just happened to be a Gen 2 Raptor?
Yes.
Why couldn't you have started off with a Ford Ranger that was rusted out or something?
Okay, we're gonna dive into this because I love this conversation. So I bought a Tacoma. It was a Gen 2. It was everything didn't really work, but worked. It drove okay, and the AC worked, and that's about it, right? But that's what the price point of a Tacoma that I bought used that was beat up for me to go to track days was. That's what it was, right? So I saved a lot of money, and it's not like I'm a jeans and t-shirt person, right? So I don't spend much money anywhere else. So when that Tacoma, I got offered for it to be bought at a higher price that I paid for. And I was like, well, I got to do it. I have to do it.
Absolutely.
Then sold it. And when I went truck shopping, I was like, okay, I'm getting a little larger in the mid-waist. Like, I kind of want to.
There, we finally get the real story, Jesse. I love it.
So I was, yeah. And at the time, just the way that all the trims were structured, the Raptor in 2017 was 60-ish grand. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But then the equivalent like F4X, FX4, or a Silverado LT 71 package, like something similar, was like 50-ish.
Yeah, you might as well get a little bit extra. Absolutely.
Yeah, and at the time there was no markup yet, right? So it was just like you're shopping around, and I was like, $200 more, $150 more a month. Okay, it was nice. And the first time I took it off-roading, I was like, oh, this is why people have this truck. And that was really exciting because it was so much fun realizing what the truck was really meant for. Because obviously I take it to go to the track, I tow my bike fine. But when I understood what it meant to jump a truck, I was like, oh, wow, my back that I thought was going to disintegrate, it feels okay. And then switching off to other people's trucks that either had aftermarket suspension or stock, right? I was like, oh, like I have to keep my mouth closed, right? But I was like, oh, like some of the stuff aftermarket, great. It was even better than the stock, right? Great. Yeah. And then some of the trucks that were going out with my friends, they were still on stock suspension. And I was like, oh, this is not how it feels in my truck. That's what piqued my interest, right? Getting introduced to different groups of friends, people who go out in the desert more, to really just even the branding, right? Like in the sport compact world, Kings, Fox doesn't really mean anything per se, right? But getting into this side of the pond, I'm like, oh, this is a big deal. Method meant nothing to me at the time, right? And then now it's just, oh, like there's this big umbrella, right? And it's exciting. And honestly, I think it was like the perfect segue into getting into this industry. Around that time when I got the truck, I was still in power sports. There was a local group. It's called the Del Amo Motorsports Group. We're now 7 stores, but anyways, point being, they allowed me to understand off-roading from my power sports side, but on my own time, owning the truck and going out with friends and family and new friends, to understand it from the automotive perspective too. And then obviously this whole shift where you guys know this better than I do, late 90s, early 2000s, SEMA was like PRI almost, right? It wasn't a truck scene. Now it's completely different. Technically speaking, the film scene is really big too, right? Like Expel and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that transition was like perfect timing. And really, not to bore the details, it led into, I was a GM for a relatively successful local shop called 4x4 Motoring, specifically more for film installation like tint, PPF, et cetera, et cetera. And then the marketing side was always part of my responsibilities as senior management anywhere I was. So it directed me to now here being at Attica and joining the family.
That's great, David. So tell us about you're just starting to talk about it. Tell us a little bit more about your business role today. What do you do? And then tell us about the company, about Attica a little bit, and what makes it stand out. So what do you do? And just catch all of our listeners and viewers up on that.
Yeah. So I think we're being transparent, very small in terms of our presence, but also large, which is weird and unique. We are really 4 years into this journey, right? And the most positive thing I could tell you about this particular journey that I'm on with the company is that ownership is very supportive. A lot of the times, which you guys know better than I do, once you get to a certain level of profitability or size of a company, then it becomes a lot more like, hey, do we make this? Does it even make sense money-wise? Versus our company, and really, we only have very minimal amount of decision makers at the ownership level, and they're very much so, hey, if it can make some sense, profitability-wise, we're all for it, right? Because ultimately, a lot of us are users ourselves, right? We look at like, hey, what would we want? And that's true for a lot of companies in a sense that we're not unique in that way, but we're unique in this way where we do make what we like as consumers, but ownership allows us to. Whereas a lot of the times, the bigger you get, that's not necessarily the case anymore. So I would say that's probably the most refreshing, because even at the motorsports group that I was part of, we're 7 stores deep, 8-9 figures in terms of quarterly income. So it's literally about the P&L sheet. Versus here, we're big, but also we're very flexible. We're a really big team, but also very small team.
Yeah. Do you guys focus? How much would you say your stuff is more Ford, Bronco, Jeep, Wrangler, versus like F-150 or other SUVs or Tacoma or 4Runner or Land Cruiser, that kind of stuff? Is it real heavy Bronco, Wrangler?
That's a great question. As history is concerned, we started with the Jeep and Bronco, to be fair.
Okay. Yeah.
Being transparent, because you guys will realize this, I'm just a transparent guy. Our projects to market really kind of depend on the level of, I want to say, commitment. And what I mean by that, to be fair, to be transparent, is we started with Jeep and Bronco, but a lot of people know us as a Toyota brand now, which kind of fell into our lap in a sense that in SoCal, maybe not as big as Hawaii, but SoCal is a very big market for Toyotas, right?
Yeah.
LC, Taco, 4Runner, et cetera, et cetera. And it just so happens from ambassador choices and application locally to us, the availability of the trucks for us to test fit and get to market faster is just a little bit more. For example, you'll see that in our portfolio, we're a little lacking on the Super Duties / 2500, 3500s. And it's not because we don't want to, and it's not because we don't have the capability per se. It's more so just locally, we don't have as many users to A, bug us about it, and then B, give us that access of time, right? Because it's a little bit driven by the ease of us launching, right? Because we'll always have the ratio, I wish I had that data, but the ratio of Toyota owners buying aftermarket parts is really high, right? Versus F-150s, they quote 1 million trucks a year. The F-150 market is huge, don't get me wrong, but in the ratio of million cars, how many owners actually care or want to modify their vehicle? Are they fleet vehicles? Who knows, right? So I think that's really what drives our launch speed for specific products.
It sounds like you get a lot of your products. I'm looking at what would cause a company to have bumpers and winches and then all of a sudden, or flares, and then all of a sudden come out with lighting. It's probably because your customers are asking for it. They're like, hey, nobody makes a good LED tail light for my 4Runner. We need you guys to do it. And you guys are like, okay, we'll do it, right?
Yes. So to be fair, our ownership is a group, privately owned.
Yeah.
So we, for a lack of a better example, steal time and resources from our plastic manufacturer.
Got it. Okay.
So it's easier for us to develop, right? Because they're already going to have design teams. They're already going to have essentially the tools we need other than the actual design itself of how it's going to look and function. That's all they need from us, versus we always get compared to like other brands, right? On the steel manufacturing side, we get compared to a lot of brands that are super great competitors. Like we all draw from each other's energy, right? But then the weird part is, like you exactly said, how did Attica all of a sudden have the capability to make a complex headlight?
Yeah.
Most of the times you don't mix the ideas of two. Vice versa, a lot of people somehow associate us with more lighting than body armor, for example. And then they'll say, oh, that's a little unique because bigger brands that are only in lighting are starting to put their feet into the other sides of manufacturing, but we naturally are just already on both sides technically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
good.
Yeah.
Hopefully that gives you an advantage. That's great. Yeah. Jesse, when we should ask David, because I don't think this guy runs into many challenges. All right. But right now that he can't conquer, but being that you're a smaller group, you're a smaller company, but you also think, what's the biggest challenges you guys have been facing recently that you're having to work through as a company?
Yeah.
Without getting to the dirty laundry.
Dirty laundry. I like dirty laundry. So to answer the question, and I want to be transparent because I am, I think this is the same for every company, to be honest, not even just in automotive, but hiring in general. It's been harder and harder to find the right fit because we do have multiple positions in the company open. Something as simple as warehouse associates to really, there's some management positions open too. And it's not even necessarily about just being transparent. The salary, it's you won't have the right team member, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's the hardest to balance, right? A lot of the times it would be, for example, we want to nurture more F-150 parts, whether it be lighting or body armor, but we don't have the right piece of the puzzle on the team to see it through, right? Our team is relatively small. We do have a big team if you incorporate the back of the house, aka shipping and logistics and accounting, but in terms of customer facing, design, our team is relatively a small core. We wear multiple hats across the whole team. And I think that's the biggest challenge we have, because to your question about speed to market, a lot of the times we have things kind of brewing, but it just never gets enough attention. So we launch it a little too 2, 3, 4 quarters later than we're supposed to. And luck of the draw, really, right? Because I think it's not hard to find enthusiasts, right? the enthusiasm is not technically hard. It's more balancing the fact of being an enthusiast, but also understanding the limitations of the business. Because you guys will know too, you'll get someone super motivated, the right fit, great attitude, but they don't understand the business side of things, so to speak, where they're like, I don't understand why we can't just have it in our hands tomorrow. There's this thing called shipping, and an extra problem layer on top of that is it's difficult to balance that expectation, right? Because a lot of the times, even myself, I'll be super excited. We just recently launched a Silverado taillight that I think looks beautiful. I'm very proud of the team launching that taillight, but behind the scenes, there was a lot of back and forth. How can we make this get to market faster, right? And it's hard to have a team member join the team to understand that part, but also be super enthusiastic and have the right characters, right? So you're always missing one or the two, or even all three, right? And I think that's the hardest part with every business, right? And that's really the challenge we're having, because we're trying to grow bigger, and ultimately we know our weaknesses on where our decision-making / flow of work have been really slowed down because of the bottleneck of lack of team members. So that's the hard reality I think every business is kind of experiencing.
What's exciting you the most about the future and in the business, or maybe the industry? What are you excited about?
With the business, let's starting with that one. What excites me the most kind of is not because I'm wearing this shirt and I'm sitting here. I'm very blessed to feel and be part of a team and ownership group that is very easygoing, I guess is the right word. There's really not a lot of no's in this company, right? Obviously, it has to make some sense, right? Within reason. But the sky's kind of the limit. We're really limited to our capabilities by the lack of time in the day. So it's really where it's at. And then on top of the fact of the minus amount of team members that we need. But that's probably the most exciting part, being part of this group. Everyone here is really positive. We all come from some sort of corner of the industry, and it's just it's really easy to deal with. I really want to shout out, to be fair, to answer this question, being part of big and small companies from prior experience. Our logistics and shipping team, aka our back of the house, is really on point. We ship hundreds of packages a day. I want to say that the amounts of packages that are shipped incorrectly is probably user error. It's not even the team. So
it's because David spelled the name wrong or the address wrong, right? It's not because the team didn't get it out right. Yeah.
Yes, no, and I really want to shout them out because they're like the unsung heroes of the company,
Absolutely.
Right? They never get to be customer facing ever, right? But they do a really good job. That is probably the biggest, because a lot of the times when you get into a sales or marketing position, it's hard to lean on the other half of the team in terms of shipping and logistics. You're just someone like, you got to walk to the pallet to make sure that the pallet is packed correctly. And I don't have that issue here. And I think that's speaking from the front of the house, period. My whole team, we really love that. There's a lot of props to them. And it's exciting to know, because to be honest, our weakest division really is us, the front of the house, right? The marketing and sales team. We're the weakest one because we're essentially crunched with not enough time. And that's really our biggest Achilles heel.
It really helps you guys so much too, because it's the same, whether it's the back of the house of let's say it's a shop and it's the technicians, it's the unsung heroes that make the sales look good. And if you don't have that support from the back end of whatever business it is, the front end starts to lose faith, or they're not as energetic, or they're not as ready to go after business, or they're scared to promise things. Yeah, it really does prop up the front end for sure. That's great.
That probably would be the most exciting one factor with this company and this journey together. For the industry, that's a deep one. I wasn't ready for that one. For the industry, I'm excited because there's a lot of factors, but one of the ones that is the biggest one for me is this particular side of the industry, aka off-roading, the off-road side, is not necessarily as impacted by CARB and emission regulations. So it's not as big of a deal. So it's almost like the sky's the limit of what you want to do, right? Everything from those, I see it all the time at shows, and I think they're so cool. There's so many companies out there, so I'm not going to name any, but they, customize essentially a home on the F450.
Yeah.
And that's the coolest thing, in my opinion. I would love to have one of those. But the excitement for the industry to me is more so there's not as many limitations, right? From tire development to suspension to development to really just the leisure part of recreational camping and off-roading. There's really no limit. And I love that versus, as you guys know too, on the performance side, everything's that's difficult as hell. I wouldn't want to be on that side right now because innovating and really staying relevant on that side of the pond to me is hard. I'm not even in it, and I feel like it's hard. I feel like in some ways the film industry has helped a little bit in customization and personalizing a vehicle, and I enjoy seeing what they do. You guys know, like in North Hall, I'm kind of smacked right in the middle between the film section and then the side-by-side section, so I can see kind of everything. And I always joke around, man, we got $100,000, $150,000 rigs over here. They got a Bugatti. That's their booth card. Must be nice. But it's exciting because I think ultimately a lot of us are in it because it also helps create a lot of family time. I know it's funner to enjoy with less restrictions versus on my personal side, not related to my work. I'm still pretty active locally in race organizations for motorcycles, which is not very regulated per se yet. But on the car side, which I have a lot of friends on in Sport Compact, the whole carb issue, like sales is down. A lot of the shops locally in Southern California have completely converted to being off-road specific. A lot of the shops I know locally, personally, and then even just professionally, half their shop or most of their work now is lift kits, wheels and tire combo, really anything off-road, because it's just so hard to even be operating in such a regulated space, especially in California with carb.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because Jesse is the marketing guru, and he just did a wonderful presentation on AI. How have you guys been able to, you're in the marketing side, but you see the front end, you're a small company, wear a lot of hats. How has AI helped you guys as a manufacturer? Or what suggestions would you give to some of our listeners out there? Obviously, without giving away all your secrets and or your cloud account, but whatever.
Yeah. So a 30,000 feet about AI. I think it's great. It's helped with everything from just organization within the company to even design, right? Because we can ask it to make it as wacky as possible or give us a real solid example, right? And obviously we still need a sketch in person to like finalize, right? But inspiration, like the level of imagination has been, it's like the Matrix getting plugged into your brain, right? Like
yeah,
everything's unlimited. And I think AI is a great multiplier, huge multiplier. It's like almost when they invented, what's like a great multiplier that just blew everyone's mind? Was it penicillin? Like, yeah. And then pretty much like diseases just went away. So I think it's helped so much, right? From daily task assignments / help to design to really even analyzing data where we want to super confirm using like a microfiche, like what vehicle is what production date that fits what products we're trying to develop. And we double check that with AI because we want to make sure that A, our research is correct, and B, why not check it with any platform of AI. I will say though, just being transparent, there's a downside, I'm not gonna lie. It's a little muddy now to me personally. This is not a reflection of the company or anything but my own personal suggestion. To me, it also kind of takes away a little bit of the flair. The flair to me is, it takes away some of the individualism.
Yep.
And which is great in some instances, but it's also a little not as good personally.
Yeah.
And a lot of places that I'll see where traditionally it's like someone's turn to shine and you kind of don't really need it anymore with AI. You're just like, well,
Yeah.
you're just always shining with AI. It's never sleeps, it never goes away, it's never tired, right? And that's the hard part, because I do balance it using it personally in my daily life and professionally, right? But then at the same time, it's almost kind of when the first smartphone came out, it was great. But then kind of middle of the way of smartphones, I'm like, I'm getting alerted all the time. Do I really
Good and
want
bad
this?
with everything, right?
Yeah.
Good
So
and bad with everything. I hear you. I think leveling the playing field, if you're at the top and now you're watching everybody come back up to you and able to do some of the same things you're able to quicker and faster, because before maybe you had the talent and now AI is kind of equalizing that. It is a little bit of a negative, especially for those that were on the top.
yeah, it's kind of scary, right? This is not a topic that I think is related to specifically our segment today.
Yeah.
But what scares me is not scare, but what discourages me is it almost takes the uniqueness away from everyone.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I don't like. And the reason why I don't like it, and you guys know this too, I'm sure you use it professionally, auto responses from emails, like if you're out of office, right? That's not obviously an AI thing. That's been around for a long time. But now you have personalized messages from AI to respond when you're not even watching, right? To me, that takes away the sales side of things, right? The customer relationships, the ability to actually, quote unquote, create and close business, right? It's almost like now everybody speaks the same way textually. But in reality, you might speak to them in person and you're like, oh wow, the context of the email that you wrote, you actually don't understand.
Yeah.
And you just basically gave it to an AI tool that wrote it for you that made me think you understand, but you don't, right? And then so now I have to essentially either continue business with you knowing that you don't understand what you're doing, or now I have to reset and now start the issue all over again somewhere else, right? So I think that's, if anything, that's kind of what I hate.
Yeah. No,
hate.
I hear you. We'll see how it's hitting the industry as we move forward. It's exciting, but also it's keeping an eye on it. I know Jesse usually has his last question that I'll ask you, but David, thank you, because we don't have many guests. Jesse, you would agree with this, that come from sport compact, motorsports, and then also off. You've been able to touch each segment of it. So definitely on the SEMA, when it talks about the volunteerism and putting your hat in the ring and getting out there, you've got a lot of experience in a lot of areas. So appreciate you giving us a little insight into that, and keep up the awesome work. And Attica, go check them out. If you guys don't know who they are, check out their products. Great stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, David. Yeah. Where can people follow you or learn more about what you and your company are doing?
Absolutely. So our main, I should say, makeup face ready page would be Attica 4x4 on Instagram. We take a lot of pride in making sure that we look presentable. I'm not super active on social media, so I'm not gonna plug in my boring personal life, but the Instagram account does directly reach me and my team. So everything from potential product projects to questions about technical aspects of an installation step that you don't have or need, definitely reach out to us. I really pride myself in making sure that we are very open and responsive, right? Because not everything is always perfect, but we always try to make sure that customer service is our number one priority to be reachable, right? We don't want you to not feel like you can't call us, right? And if you prefer email, by all means, that's okay too. But our Instagram, we try very hard because, at least for North America, other places of the market, sure, is different. But with North America, IG is still the king for brand imaging, right? Long format, obviously, YouTube is a great place, but a lot of the times, especially that segment of customers are looking for, kind of still falling into that part of Meta more, not so much as Facebook, but IG. So,
and you guys are Attica 4x4.com as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
that would be our domain.
Great. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks again, David. Appreciate you being on, and we'll look forward to seeing you at SEMA.
Absolutely. Definitely. We'll go grab something to eat or something. I'd love to meet you guys.
All right.
Thank you,
so
Dave.
much.
All right. Take care. Have a great day.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you, Jess.
Guys.
And there you have it, another high-octane episode of the Ride and Style podcast, revved up and ready to go. Your hosts, Jesse Stoddard and Josh Polson, shifted your automotive game into overdrive. If you're hungry for more insights, trends, and game-changing interviews from the automotive restyling universe, don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a glowing review. We'd also love for you to share this podcast with your gearheads, installers, and auto lovers network. Because remember, knowledge is power, but shared knowledge turbocharges the whole industry. For more expert resources to supercharge your business, cruise on over to autostylemarketing.com, your one-stop shop for everything automotive marketing. Until next time, keep those wheels spinning and your passion ignited. Thank you for riding in style with us. See you on the next lap.